Hi, this is Denise Matthew. I hope you're doing well. Back again for another week of the transits. We have a few things happening this week. We have Mercury finally going into new territory. It's going into the gate 15 after it's been transiting the same three gates for the last couple of months. So that's something to look forward to. We also have on July 9th a new moon that's going to be happening as well. Based on the gates that it's highlighting, it's kind of quite an interesting new moon. And the other thing is the mandala of life continues. As Ra Uru, who said, logic is all about just the ideas and the concepts, but there's nothing more educational than actually living the themes of the transits and seeing them out in the real world. And the mandala of life and all the energies that we're experiencing as the sun transits each gate is something that we can see in the real world. And I think that when you actually see it, it becomes something that's a little bit more accessible to you to actually see it in the real world and to see it in your life and to see it in the people that you know and the people that you love and even the people that you work with, those types of things. So there is so much to be learned about your own self through this whole experiment, and I'm really excited for all the people that have joined, and I'm learning so much, and I appreciate everybody who's been so supportive. And I'm still doing updates on the community page, so please feel welcome to check it out and join the community. I would love to have you aboard. And with that said, let's get into the transits. And as I said, we do have the new moon coming on July 9th, and it is sort of later in the day. The time zone here is Eastern Daylight Time. So that's when it will be happening in that area. So you can just adjust it accordingly. So because it might be a little bit earlier or later based on where you live. The thing about new moons is that when we have a new moon, it means that the sun and the moon conjunct or come together in one particular area or one particular gate in this case. In this case, it's the gate 53, line 4. You also know that the earth is always going to be opposite the sun. So that kind of plays into, we always can imagine that any energy that is opposite the other energy is going to be integrated in some way. So with the 53, it's going to be integrated with the 54. And that's something that is a theme that you'll notice as we go along. A lot of the gates that we're working with start to spill off into the next gate. That first line and the sixth line of the gate before it start to meld together, and it usually brings this kind of different flavor to the energy. This is the fourth line. And when we talk about the fourth line, it is a foundational energy. This would be considered an opportunist energy, or it would also be considered something that is influential, because the fourth line by its nature is a fixed energy, which means there's a lot of influence in this, because what happens is anybody with a fourth line, generally fourth line as a profile, or even in any of these particular gates, because that's the thing to remember. Every gate that we have in our body graph has a number of the line that it's in, and that will influence how the gate actually works in our body graph and how it works in our lives for us. And that's one of those things that if we have a certain amount of energies that are similar. So for instance, if we have a lot of fourth line energy, even if we don't have a fourth line profile, we can sometimes have more of that fixed energy, or the energy of being an opportunist, or needing to have friend groups to get our opportunities and those types of things to have the manifestation of the particular gates. When we're talking about the fourth line, when it comes to this new moon, it is the 53, line 4. We know that it's influential. We also know that the gate 53 is all about new beginnings, starting a new cycle. All cycles have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They're not linear in nature. They have a cycle which goes all around. And when we talk about the gate 53, this is a beginning of a format energy. We did talk about the gate 52 a couple of weeks ago, and that was a format energy as well. And the one thing that we can say about these format energies is that they're very influential and they're very powerful, because they begin the process that eventually wants to finish up in the throat, where the throat center is where we always want to get energy, because that's where we want to manifest the things into the world that we've only come in as a dream or a thought or something like that. So that is why when we talk about the gate 53, this is a new beginning. It's a new cycle. This is abstract energy, as opposed to the 52 that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, which is logical energy. So we're now moving into an experiential energy. So if we want to think about collective energy, we know that there is tribal energy, collective energy, and individual energy. Thing about collective energy is the key word is always going to be sharing. So it's always about sharing what you've learned. There are two types of collective energy, and they are logical collective energy, and we have abstract collective energy. And, you could look at it as one is an experiment of actually living life, and one is an experiment that we would run on a program or even on a computer. When we talk about logical collective energy, it could be coming up with a program, some sort of an idea of something we want to do in our lives, or we want to have an experiment in the future. And then when we talk about abstract energy, we're talking about an energy that is, we're actually actively living it. And that is truly what most of us are doing. The interesting thing is nowadays there's virtual reality. So what people are trying to do is they're trying to take the real live experience of the abstract and kind of make it into a logical thing that has that abstract feel to it. So there is this melding that the world is trying to do already, which is kind of interesting. But from the most mundane perspective, this is us going out and living life. This is us going out and doing things. And the one thing that Ra Uru always said was, you could have somebody who studied human design and it was all sort of theory and logic and knowing all the gates and knowing all the energies. But until you're truly out there feeling what it feels like to have the expression of the gate 53 and the sun transiting, or Mars, or seeing the energies in play, feeling it in yourself, watching yourself as you're starting to do the things that are indicative of that specific energy. It's not like we're acting like the energy, it is like the energy is there and we're watching ourselves act in the specific way. So we don't ever try and conform. We just do as we are going to do, and we can watch ourselves, and you'd be surprised at the amount of things you can actually learn when you're actually paying attention to your body graph or those types of things. So I know that was a bit long-winded, but I just wanted to say that because the reason why I say that is we are, if we're looking at the mandala of life, and we know that 2 weeks ago we went through the gate 52, the sun went through the gate 52. Now the gate 52 is logical collective energy, and that is where I kept saying, let's get into the patterns, let's figure out the plan that we want to have going forward for our lives. What do we want to do? What are the things we want to change? What are the things that we looked at and we don't really like how it went, and we want to change that going forward? So that is a logical expression of a plan that you're sort of thinking about, that you want to bring into the world. The gate 39 is where we're at right now. The gate 39 is that provocation. It's that spirit. It's somebody's sort of poking us and saying, okay, you want to bring your spirit to the world. You want to bring your individual energy. You want to bring change to the world. How are you going to do that? The gate 53 comes in and says, okay, let's actually start living this. Let's actually start this up. And that's what this energy is all about. Now, the thing about the 53 line 4 is this energy is about what's really interesting, because that's why I wanted to talk about the gate 39 and the individual energy that we're actually still experiencing right now as I speak. And I will talk about that in a minute. But the thing about the gate 53 line 4 is that it incorporates the individual concept of, because it is a fixed energy, you have an agenda, you have a way of being, you have a way of starting things that you want to start. So you start something, and regardless of what people are saying, or if they're trying to actually influence you or something like that, you are steadfast in the way you want to begin. And that is what this energy is all about. It's like, to thy own self be true. If you feel that this beginning is what you want to do, then know that that is the right path for you. But what it also says is that if you are willing to be committed to start this new thing, to start this new plan that we've been thinking about, the 52 and the 39. And like I said, when the 52 came in, I said that was sort of the beginning of a new shift in our new path in life, which is a path that, when we think about the gate 53, the path can be a new beginning on an old foundation. So in other words, you are sort of restarting something on an old foundation. That's a new beginning as well. Or we can start from scratch. There's many ways to start a new beginning. The one thing about it is, though, when you start a new beginning with the gate 53, it is a cycle. It does not, you don't get off the cycle until it finishes. And that's the whole thing. So you have to be in it until you finish it. And that is something that you want to take into consideration. If you are thinking about something new and starting something new and those types of things, calculated new beginnings, calculated things that you actually want to bring into manifestation, into form, are the things that are going to actually be something that is going to bring something into your world that you want. If you jump into something and you haven't done your homework, and you just, it feels like a good idea, because keep in mind, with the sun coming into the gate 53, it's going to come into the gate 53, and we also have this new energy in the new moon. There could be this impetus to just jump in and start something new, especially if you are somebody who has this energy in your body graph. It could activate it. It depends upon how in touch you are with that energy as well. So a calculated new beginning can really manifest something incredible in the future. Because if we look at not only that, you have this steadfastness of actually sticking with what you want to begin. We also have the earth in the gate 54, which is talking about the gate 54 line four, which is actually a very special line. This line is by teaching somebody else what we want to learn, we teach ourselves. So in other words, this is a whole new beginning that is in some way benefiting other people, but by it benefiting other people, it is benefiting us as well. So if we look at this perspective, we could say that there's a book called The Power of Eight, and I believe it's by Lynn Taggart. And she did this experiment and she called it The Power of Eight, when 8 people were together and they were sort of thinking about the same thing and sort of sending their energy somewhere. It would actually help people. So there's a whole book. I'm just doing the Coles notes really quick. The one thing she did find through the experiment, and she was a scientist, so this was very scientifically done. It was spiritually based, but it was also a lot of science behind it and a lot of controls. So there was a lot of data, that logical data that came out of it. But the one thing she did say was that when people were praying or manifesting or sending affirmations for other people, they benefited as well. And that's what the gate 54 is saying. When we are working for the betterment of the whole, we are benefiting ourselves. We are bringing enlightenment. This actually is called enlightenment, this energy. So a very powerful new moon. So if you have some special way that you like to celebrate the new moons, this is a very powerful new moon. So tapping into the energy might be really worth your while. So just something to keep in mind. So I hope you guys have a great new moon, and it starts to get the ball rolling. As long as it's a calculated new beginning, then there's a lot of potential within this energy. Right now, the sun's in the gate 39, the gate of provocation, which was actually pretty funny. As soon as I got on that energy, the neighbor started to mow his grass. So I had to turn it off because I was obviously provoked into stopping. But now we're back at it. So anyway, we're going to have the full channel, the 3955, until July 6th. And this is about, we're going to be feeling emotional energy, potential for emotional energy, and this passion for things. There is no access to the throat with this energy. So there could be this feeling of having an emotional energy, just started again, but I'm going to so he just started again, and I'm just going to continue on. We have the same pattern, obviously. Continuing on. So the energy of the gate 39 is going to be in play with Jupiter, the gate 55 as well, which I just talked about. And the other thing is that the thing about the gate 39 that we have to keep in mind is that the gate, it is here to activate or to awaken spirit consciousness. And when we talk about spirit consciousness, we're talking about this idea of sharing ourselves with the world, sharing who we are, sharing our individuality with the world, and being exactly who we are. The gate 39 is activating that energy of showing us that by being who we are, we're sort of we're being the pieces of the puzzle that we are meant to be in this incarnation. And that's what the gate 39 is all about. The key with this energy is to know that those people who are irritated or frustrated or in any way not appreciative of your provocation or the way you may tease or the things that you do are the people that are not your people. So this is kind of a way for you to figure out who are your people and who aren't your people. And that's the thing about it, is if someone is provoked by you, then they are not your people. They are not in the energy for you. They don't match. So in other words, you're looking for the puzzle piece that fits to you. And the puzzle piece that fits to you is a person that is completely fine with what you say and do. The thing about the provocation is that because of the nature of the emotional wave, sometimes we have to try it a few times to actually decide and figure out if it is actually the right people for us. So for instance, we might provoke somebody the first time and they're okay with it, but the next time they may be a little bit irritated, and then the next time they seem to be okay again. And so the balance is more that they're okay than they're not because of the nature of the mood. So it is something that over time you will get clarity with exactly who is for you and who isn't. And you'll know. I mean, it's ultimately you're going to know because you're as long as you're accepting what is and not trying to shift somebody's behavior to like you, because the people that are your people will get you, and the people that are not your people won't get you. And trying to convince the people that are not your people that maybe they really are your people is when you can kind of trip up with this energy, and you're not actually aligning with the truth of the energy and really the truth of you. Because as long as you are looking for the people that align with you, you are living your truth. And if you look at the whole Dr. Seuss, those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter. And that really is one of the mantras to go with this energy, that when the right people are with you, they actually will be with you, and they're completely fine with what you do. Doesn't mean they're not ever going to get bugged with what you do, but there's this kind of agreement and an energy that you share, and it's okay. We do have a few more days based on when you watch this, and then we start off with some new energy on July 6th, and that's the gate 53 that we talked a lot about. And it is this opening, or this brand new beginning, that we are starting and initiating. If we look at it as what we see in a metaphorical way, we could say that it's about planting a garden and having all the seeds, and having the idea of what exactly you want to plant, where you want to plant it, and knowing that it can't just be planted and left to be on its own, because that's what a lot of times this energy is about. This can be a painful energy for people because they feel a lot of times, if you carry this energy, you may feel like you start a lot of things and you don't necessarily finish. With maturity, generally that sort of shifts up, and to remember that a new beginning, that is something that you plan and you decide that this is exactly what you want to do, as opposed to just jumping in and just beginning anything just because it feels like it's time to do that. Because of the cyclical nature of this energy, because it is a format energy, it is something that if you carry just one hanging gate, either the 53 or the 42, then it always sort of needs that other energy to complete it, to keep it going till to the end, type of thing. And that'll come through planetary transits. It'll come from just being out in the world and those types of things. The key with this energy is like I said, is to have a plan, to want to bring it into play with some careful planning, and a concept that there is some tending that will be needed to be done. Just planting the seeds and then leaving and not doing anything again, they're not going to live. And not every seed will grow exactly the way you want it to. And that's why it's important to put more time and effort into the idea of exactly how you want it to look, how you want it to grow in the future. Remember that this is abstract energy, which means that it's an experience that you begin. So it's an actual physical experience that usually you begin, or something that you actually start doing, as opposed to something that's more logical, which is, like I said, it's more of a mind plan that you're thinking about doing, and eventually you will implement in the future, and that would be your abstract energy. So as long as, like I said, you have the plan, you know sort of where you think it's going to go. It may not necessarily go that way. Most times experiences don't. They have their own way of being, but understanding that you're in it to the end, and to be okay with that. Because what happens is, because of the nature of experience, humanity, and how we actually feel about experiences in our life, ultimately it all comes back to this idea of having a memory, because that literally is all that endures. As they say, the only thing that endures is our memories, that we had an experience, that we went somewhere, we went on a trip, or we did something, or those types of things. And it's all about the journey being just as important, if not more important than the actual destination, because that's what you're sort of remembering. So if we get into an experience and then we jump out of it before we finish the cycle, before we get sort of a completion, then that could be this energy of, wow, that was a waste of my time. And just this kind of down, feeling down because nothing actually came out of it. I mean, you went in and you did all this planning and you started, and suddenly just everything kind of, just nothing happened with it. What that also means with any cycle is that because we know that there's always going to be sort of starts and stops in every cycle, you have to remember that it is about getting on a cycle and not really being able to get off it until it's completed. But there is also this perspective that with anything that happens in life, there's going to be moments where it stops, and then you have to sort of hang on and know that it will come and it'll sort of start up again. And that's the thing about cycles, is that they can start, it's like a conveyor belt, and different processes will happen. So if we think about like a conveyor belt where they make cars, and you have the different parts, and sort of it will switch off to a new part and then switch off to a new part, and so it all comes together, and in the end you have that thing that you're manifesting. But it's a time thing, and to be patient with the whole cycle. And when you are, and you go in with this mindset that you're open to what shows up, but you're going to stick with it whatever happens, then that can give you some satisfaction no matter what happens in the end. And usually you get closer to it actually bearing fruit or coming to fruition if you've made all these plans. You're not just leaping into it, and this could be leaping into pretty much anything. And especially with the fourth line energy of the new moon that I was talking about, the key with that is, if you run into a little bit of trouble, jumping out and jumping into something new, which can sometimes happen with this energy, will definitely leave you feeling like you missed the mark or something was missing within the whole experience. So that's something to keep in mind with this energy. Right now, the Earth is in the gate 38, and this is the gate of the fighter. The energy of the 38 is individual energy, just like the gate 39. And so we know, I talked about a lot about this last week. And the thing about this is, when we think about the gate 28 and the 2838, because it is half of that channel, the 28 is trying to find the meaning of life, the meaning of the struggles of life, the meaning of why we're here. Why do we continue to live? What's the point of it all? So this is sort of the energy that is fighting for the truth of who you are, in fighting for your inner truth. What is the expression of you in this world? What is your truth? How can you show the truth to the world? And you are fighting for your truth, because a lot of times we're fighting ourselves for our own truth, because we don't want to allow ourselves to be vulnerable to, what if people don't like my truth? What if people don't accept my truth? The key with this energy is to know that your truth is worth fighting for. The essence of who you are is worth fighting for, because as long as you're being authentic to who you truly are, then the fight is worth it. It's always going to be worth it, because there is nothing more important than being exactly who we are. That is the whole key with human design, is to be exactly who you are, and to accept who you are, and to love who you are, and to fight for the truth of who you are. And that's what the energy of the gate 38 is. And the lotus flower, like I said, one of the most beautiful flowers in the world, fights to get to the light. And that's the whole key. We are always fighting to find the light in life. And we can look at so much darkness around us, but there's always going to be light. It always breaks up the darkness. And just trying to find that light. And sometimes it is by finding your own inner truth and shining it out to the world and saying, yeah, this is who I am. And I accept who I am. And, people will accept you for who you are too. It all comes down to the right people for you. On July 6th, we have the Earth going into the gate 54, and that is what we ground it in. And so if we think about the sun is in the gate 53, that's the solar energy. We're grounding into it with the gate 54. The gate 54 is ambition. This is about the energy to get ahead. This is the energy that connects to the 32 is fear of failure. And the gate 54 is, it's sort of an infusion of, we can't fail, we can get ahead, we can move forward. It's also called, through the I Ching, it's called the marrying maiden, which is this concept of a concubine who grew to be very influential. It's this ladder of climbing the ladder to get to a better place in life, and to just feel like you have an ability to make your dreams come true. This is a lot of business energy. This is the energy that connects with the gate 32 as I said, the gate of perceived failures, but this energy says that there are no failures. In fact, they're all stepping stones that get us one step further in life. You have this new beginning with the gate 53, and the gate 54 says, yes, we can do this. We will get the results. We will get the tangible items of because this is tribal energy. We will get the tangible resources that we need, and it is grounded in earth to manifest what we want to manifest. So very nice energies to work together. This is a driving force and positive energy that's kind of pushing us to look beyond what we see right in this moment, and pushing us to see that there is potential for the future to actually manifest the things that we want in the future. Right now, Mercury is finishing off in the gate 12. It is closing out the themes that we've been working with for the last couple of months. And this is the energy of the voice of individuality. This is an alone gate. So there could be this feeling of wanting to be alone or wanting to be out in the world. It is about deciding what your mood feels like. If you feel like you want to be out in the world, if you want to share yourself with the world, if you want to socialize, or if you don't want to. It is the voice of individuality, but it's also the voice of authenticity. So whatever we're implementing this week, it is about speaking from an authentic voice and speaking our truth. And it all does kind of interlinked with the gate 39 and also gate 38, because they are individual energies as well. So we are moving away from the individual energy, this idea that we want to be alone and to socialize when we want to, and to express ourselves exactly the way we want to with whoever we want to. There's creativity within this. So we have the 3955 as well as the gate 12 and also the gate 38. So there's a potential for some level of melancholy, but there's also potential for a lot of creative expression, and to know that if we are feeling the melancholy, that's just part of the energy, and it will shift as all energies do. And in the interim, if you want to express yourself in a creative way, whatever that is, creativity is always going to be something that makes you feel good doing it, or you feel like you want to do it, or it's something enjoyable. And that's what it's all about. It could even be listening to music. With the gate 30, with the 3955, there's a lot of music within this energy as well, for making it and listening to it, and anything expressive of any kind. And it, even artistic stuff, or just moving your body, exercising, getting out and playing some sports that you like to do. Anything where you're actually expressing your energy instead of internalizing it will help in this way. On July 10th, we have Mercury going into the gate 15. So we're getting into new energy. And this is talking about the love of humanity, but it's also talking about being in the flow and this magnetism and extremes. We're talking about Mercury. We're talking about what we're hearing, what people are talking about. We could hear about people talking about activism and those types of things, environmentalism, anything related to some way of improving humanity where more people get their rights. And it could be even new voices that we're hearing for activism that we haven't heard before. That Saturn continuing in the gate 19, it does kind of speak to the idea of this activism, or this idea that because we are talking about the love of humanity, we could be looking at the people that are, especially with Saturn, we're looking at people that are disadvantaged in some way, people who are oppressed or who've had a difficult life, or things are not going well for them. And that could be people who are ill, people who have been oppressed as in humanity, like they've been oppressed, or it could be the elderly, or people who don't have an easy life. So we could be looking at those types of people and saying they need a voice, and we need to support them, because that is tribal energy. So that's where the activism that we could be hearing about. And right now, Venus is in the gate 33. The gate 33 is up in the throat center. So it is the culmination of the abstract, which is kind of interesting, because we do have the culmination of Venus in the gate 33, and it's just culminating just before we start with the gate 53 in the sun. So in other words, when we look at the whole concept of, we begin with the 5342, and then we go to the 2946, and then we culminate in the 1333, and this is the power column. So this is the end of an experience. This is where we kind of start to reflect on the experience. What did we do? How did it look? Those types of things, because something's come to an end and we're kind of looking at what happened. So it's kind of interesting that Venus is finishing up in the gate 33 and looking at that perspective. And we have the new beginning coming just before Venus finishes up. So it's kind of interesting how it's all lining up. we have a brand new cycle starting and sort of an end of a cycle as well, we could say. The other thing about the gate 33 is it is an alone gate. So there is also this concept that we want to have more privacy. So if we look at the gate 12 finishing up in Mercury, that's an alone gate as well. Then we also have Venus in the gate 33, which is more aloneness and privacy and wanting to be on your own. This could be talking about people talking about privacy for women or privacy for Venusian themes, privacy for how much money you make, and privacy for your relationships. On July 8th, we have Venus going into the gate 7, and actually Venus and Mars are going to be meeting in the gate 7. So this is the army that supports the influential leadership. So it's pretty easy. I'm going to digress for a second, but it's pretty easy to say the gate 39 is definitely activating. I have a hanging gate 55 and it is activating me with so much active with the very loud background stuff. But anyhow, let's move on. So yeah, so the Venus and Mars are meeting in the gate 7, and it is this whole support for the leadership. We talked about the leadership last week, where Venus actually was in the gate 31 and then it moved into the gate 33. And this is just a support. This is knowing that you're never going to be a leader unless you have the people that are supporting you. And this is democratic leadership. So in other words, somebody is voted into the job, and these people are the ones that are supporting the leadership. When we talk about this is leadership for feminine leaders, that type of thing that we could see on the world stage. And this is also understanding that leadership is important because not everybody is going to function the same as everybody else. And because of that, some people will need help and some people will, be okay on their own. Understanding that everybody has their strengths and sort of kind of working with the people to encourage those strengths and to support where there isn't a strength, and to support the people that need the support. Now Mars is in the gate 7, and like I said, Venus will meet Mars in the gate 7 on July 10th, and it'll only be there for 2 days, and then Mars is going to move into the gate 4. So this is, you could even say, the yin and the yang of the discipline of the army, of the support for the leadership, how it is all working together. We're having both energies. So it seems like there could be a lot of balance within the energy of the democratic process of supporting the leaders, and the leaders actually being there to speak for the group. And this is also working for the whole. This is working for the betterment of the group. It all goes back to this idea that everybody is of value and everybody has their part. And without everybody having their part, there would not be a leadership if you didn't have all the people that were required. So there's a lot of balance between the two. This could be within, like I said, with Venus and Mars moving into this energy of leadership. It could be showing up on the world stage of basically yin and yang leaders that are working in tandem together on the world stage to bring change into the world. So July 12th, we have Mars moving into the gate 4. Gate 4 is the answers, and this is a logical energy, and it's just saying that you want to know the patterns of what's happening. It does hook into the gate 63 if you did a full channel. The gate 63 is all about doubt and suspicion. When we have Mars going into the gate 4, this is a demanding of answers, demanding of knowing exactly what's happening in the world. Why is this happening? Give me answers. And if people aren't giving answers, there could be an aggressive kind of drive and push to get the answers. Give me the answers I need. And if you're not getting the answers, it could be like a flare up of frustration because you're not getting the information that you need. The key with the gate 4 is to understand that the answers come in time, and they can't be forced. Sometimes people will be forced into giving an answer for something and it's not necessarily true. So it's sometimes better to get the answer in right timing. This is fueled by the doubt and suspicion. And this is this concept of wanting to have the patterns in life and in this fear of chaos and those types of things. So this could be looking at this need to have order of some kind and to have the answers to how to bring order. And if you don't get the answers right away, there could be a frustration, but always remember that the answers come in the right timing, and to just let go. And it's more important to have a correct answer than it is to have have an answer. And with Mars, it could be just an answer, something quick, fast, and just done, but not necessarily the truth. So better to wait for the correct answer rather than just accept whatever you're given just because you want it immediately. Haven't talked about Uranus in a little while. Anybody with a hanging gate 14 might be feeling a lot of this energy with Uranus going through the gates 2, or even if you have a hanging gate 2, or even if you have the full channel, the 14-2, you could be feeling this energy to change direction or to adjust your direction. You could feel that maybe something new is opening up, or looking at things from a completely different perspective than you've ever looked at before. This can also be having a direction towards something like internet stuff or online stuff or anything related to the World Wide Web. So that's something to keep in mind. And that's it for the transits. I hope you enjoyed them, and I will be back again next week. And have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye for now.